Good evening, my friend. Happy Wednesday night. This is our 8 p.m. version of this thing of ours. So happy you could be with us. We're going to be discussing one of still the funniest train wrecks, dumpster fire interviews from a jadrul by the name of Victor Marx, who has no idea. His nickname is Cathead, who has no idea what he did to whatever was left of his reputation, his image, his countenance, his history, and the like. If you did not see this, and by the way, tomorrow, speaking of Candace, is a big day because it's the Hunter Biden interview. God, it's so good. But if you haven't heard this one, let me take you through it and relive some of the moments of absolute, unabashed, unrivaled hilarity. But first, my friends, this word from our sponsor. My friends, this is bigger than most people realize. While everyone watches missiles and fighter jets, the real battle is happening in the supply chain. Nearly every advanced U.S. weapon system depends on tungsten, yet America has barely mined it domestically in years, while China dominates global supply. Washington is now racing to fix that. The Pentagon has committed millions toward restarting domestic tungsten production, and President Donald Trump's Project Vault initiative launched a $12 billion critical mineral strategy to secure American supply chains. That's where Vault Strategic Mining comes in. Trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the U.S., Vault is building a strategic tungsten portfolio anchored by historic Nevada projects tied to past U.S. defense production. With tungsten prices climbing and global tensions rising, this is no longer just mining, it is national security. Check out the link below to learn more, and special thanks to Vault Strategic Mining for sponsoring today's video. I sometimes it takes a while for me really to go through and process kind of what has happened, what I've seen, what is going on. And it's beyond sometimes anything that I can put into detail, how a grown man who is so obviously interested in his image as a tough guy, a fighter, a centurion, a veteran, former Marine, 3 years, not 2, Candace, 3. If you did not see this, then I don't know what to tell you. So just, you've got to watch this. He walked into this. And then after he was done being eviscerated, disemboweled, he met with his team. He's got a lot of people working behind him for what I have no earthly idea. And he's showing everybody how they were clapping and saying, "You did such a great job." It's like, are you out of your mind? Are you sorry? Are you crazy? You really think? Dear God, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I could not believe what I was seeing. That's the part that gets me all the time. That's the part. That's the part that gets me. It's people who don't understand this. Now, how many saw this today? Did you see it today? If you didn't see it, this doesn't make any sense to you, and you might as well, I'll excuse you, because you're not going to understand this. I can explain it to you. But it's one of those things where you're thinking, I thought, and I will say that I thought I never saw anybody as absolutely as nuts as Erica Kirk with her fabulous versions of reality that she kind of came up with on her own. Okay. I thought nobody can outdo old Erica, because she's just, by God, she's good at this. Boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong. It's like nothing I ever saw. Let me give you an example. He goes through a list of basically telling everybody that he's batshit crazy, bipolar, bifusual, bisexual. Well, I mean, not bisexual, but that he is just a lunatic, that he has been the very sad recipient of some pretty awful and terrible treatment. Just terrible, horrible treatment. And he also said it in such a way that he explained a couple of things. And in fact, Candace says, did this happen? She went right to it. And there's two instances, two in particular, that were absolutely phenomenal. The first is when he was a boy, somebody did this. And forgive me, I'm not an expert in everything he says because, well, I mean, I sort of care from a point of view of finding it amusing. I mean, I'm sad to say, but it is amusing. I mean, it is so odd. But at one particular point, he was forced to place his finger on the trigger of a rifle, thus perhaps dispatching or responsible for the taking of a life, so that if he ever tried anything, he would be basically sold out as somehow, what am I trying to say? He would be set up. Like, you did this. Why? Because your fingerprint is on the right. Sound familiar? Your fingerprint is on this rifle. Even though he was but a child at the time. And the story is, for all practical purposes, far-fetched and just insane. Okay. All right. Weirder things have happened, right? Okay. All righty. I'll give you that one. Here's the best one. Here is the best one. And don't ask me to explain why. Just listen to this and imagine you're Candace, and he's actually gone and spoken about this without realizing he sounds like he's out of his mind, okay? At some point, through some ritualized horror, somebody made him either decapitate himself, a cat, live or previously deceased. I don't know. You know, when you decapitate, when you sever, it's like almost like after it is no longer with us, it kind of loses its whatever. It's not the same. You know, decapitate a dead, it's like you're basically breaking it apart. You're fabricating it, so to speak. Anyway, he's 3 years old, and he supposedly is told to do this to this cat and then wear the cat's head. Did you see my thumbnail? Did you see the thumbnail? It's not cervical dislocation. You're because you can decapitate without losing your head. You know what I mean? You actually can sever your spinal cord, your brainstem by this kind of motion. Tell me you saw the thumbnail. The thumbnail says it absolutely. And by the way, he walks into Candace's lawsuit because she's now asking him to withhold and to preserve documents and all this kind of stuff because he doesn't know what he's doing. So anyway, so this 3-year-old child does this to go, okay, here, I did it. Now wear it. It's not a fright wig. You don't put it. I don't even understand how you do this. Is it alive? I mean, not alive. Is it fresh? I don't. What do you got? Yeah, I put it on top of my head, but why do I do this? It makes it sound like he becomes that he he inhabits the thing, I guess. I don't know, maybe sort of. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. And he said this. And she's just going, I would say, the cat? Languita says, I feel like Victor Marx may be Hitman. I watched him on Sean Ray. Even Sean was creeped out. Creeped out or not, but or this fabulous, have you ever seen this guy who's the sheriff, what's he called? The sheriff of Baghdad. By the way, thank you. The sheriff of Baghdad. Who another one says he's full of shit. He lost his tab and this and that. Sean Ryan has inspired more people. I got to tell you a story. Don't ask me why. I got to tell you a story. Today, Mrs. L and I were traveling. We're walking about. We're perambulating about. It was hotter than hell. And in the kitchen, that's what we call the Hell's Kitchen. In the kitchen, we saw there was this guy who sells pizza in the back of a little mini GT. It's great. It's called Pizza Pod NYC, right? On Instagram. Pizza Pod NYC. Fabulous. In this little car. It's great. I mean, it looks like a little baby car. Like a Flintstones car. He's serving pizza. He's got an oven in the back. Phenomenal stuff. I swear to God. I thought, look, I know this is going to taste like shit, but terrific. So we were talking. Very nice man. And I noticed he has his left ear is cauliflowered. Not severely, but enough where you can say, oh. So I said, oh, are you a wrestler? Are you into jiu-jitsu? He goes, yeah. He said, Brazilian. He says, in fact, I worked out today. I said, you mean Gracie? He said, oh, yeah. Now, this guy was a badass. And I said, how long have you been doing it? He said, well. And I was joking. He said, I wonder if sometimes people can maybe put on a prosthetic ear. Maybe this will tell people, hey, I'm a fighter. Or say, well, sometimes I think it might draw people into it. He was the most understated gentleman you can imagine. Just didn't say, oh, yeah, I've been doing that black belt. Didn't tell me anything about his belt or whatever. You knew this guy was a badass. He didn't have to tell you anything. He didn't have to go into detail. He didn't have to say anything. He just was very calm about it. No big deal. Scariest person ever. Nice. That's the guy. Stay away from him. This bullshit peddler is completely a fabulous, fantastical, fantastical, I guess is Candace is want to say. He's just beyond everything about him is just bullshit. He's one of these people, and the Sean Ryan shows, these little boys who want to be out there, they gotta do it. Hexeth, Bobby Kennedy Jr. I could do push-ups. I could do pull-ups. Look at me. Look, Ma, watch me. Ma, look, I'm the monkey bars. Okay, Ma. No, watch me. All right, I'm watching you. See, I'm tough. I'm a man. See. And Hexeth, listen, I'm not trying to compare anything about this guy was like in the National Guard. He's talking about some people there who are really serious. And the real serious warriors, they don't talk about it. Except if you're on the Sean Ryan show. And they can't stop talking. To sell a book or sell their thing or sell their whatever it is. Or sell their podcast. And this guy, this Chidrulo, he comes along and he starts talking about the finger and this, and then he killed people. And what are you talking about? My bride. You have no idea how people refer to their wives as my bride. Enough with this. You're making too much out of this. There's something wrong with this dude. Something's really wrong. And his family, his daughter writes the board. He's full of shit. My father's full of shit. The guy is just, and he's con people. And he does this thing where he says, okay, put a gun to your head. Put a gun to your head. Put a gun to your head, okay? It's a little plastic gun. Okay, you got it? You got it? And he goes like that and turns around and it's a plastic gun. You want to try that with a live weapon? One wrong move, just vibrating it? You go, what are you talking about? Do you ever see these people that say, okay, come after me, okay? Okay, you do this. Okay, take the lint brush, ready? Okay, now you're gonna stab me, okay? Now, when you stab, okay, I'm gonna put my hand up like this, and I'm gonna block it. See? It works great at slow motion. I can do that. Hey, look at this. Look. I can do the Shemp move. I can do whatever I want at slow motion. I can disarm rubber knives, plastic guns, imaginary death rays. I can do all that stuff. He's a grown man. Look, I'm tough. I'm big. I'm somebody. See? Look, I can defuse. You know, there's a word for this. But asshole. I'm sorry. I hate to be like this. Like, what are you doing? You come across like this bullshit artist, this grade A #1 asshole. You're some kind of you're a dick. You're like the worst form of man. Get out of here. What is the matter with you, little boy? My God. I'm somebody. And then Candace, this is the best one. He says, well, I just want to know whether you're going to apologize. Candace says, apologize for what? Well, you said I was in Marine Corps for 2 years. Well, listen, little lady, young lady, or little lady, I was in there for 3 years. You would think somebody with your ability to do research would know that this is how dare you? And she says, shut up. BFD, buddy. Okay. 2 years, 3 years. Who gives a shit? I stand corrected. And I want an apology. And Candace says, I'm not going to apologize. Now, granted, Candace is in one room. She's a girl. He's a 6'4", whatever, this big hulk of a guy who wore a cat head as a 3-year-old. And Candace is saying, shut up. Now, let's move on. She bitch slapped him. I mean, it was great. It was the weirdest thing. Then you said to Erica, and by the way, I stand corrected. Erica? No, Erica is not. Erica is just kind of, Erica just kind of makes stories up. And then I was in my kitchen, and it was dark. Yeah, it was dark. And my kids were asleep. My kids were asleep, and it was late, and I had some Captain Crunch. No, Count Chocula. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what moms eat. Because I'm a mom. No, really, seriously. What are my kids' named? Brian? Starts with a B. I don't know. When was the last time you talked to Charlie's parents? Well, so she just kind of makes stuff up. You heard this woman go, and then I was standing there, and it was dark, and I'm eating my Cheerios and my milk, and then I was reading the book of John, and the candlelight, because that's what St. Paul does. Say, what are you saying? She's making this stuff up, and I was wearing slippers, fuzzy slippers, where the front kind of curled like the Iron Sheik. Remember that? Kind of like a ooh, and that's right. And I had on music. Yeah. I said, okay, that was mild. But this guy, cat heads on your head at 3 years old. What are you talking about? Even a 3-year-old would say, you want me to do what? I want you to cut the head of the cat. Why? Because this is part of a ritualized terror thing. All right, now what do I do with it? What do I do? Eat it or no? What? Wear it on my head. It'll just kind of stick. We wear it on my head. This is the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. She just makes this. Couldn't tell anybody, couldn't remember anything. I mean, it's just one. It was just ungodly. And she just hammered home. And the best one, he says, and that's why I told Eric, I said, listen, don't worry about anything, honey. They're not going to come after you or the kids, I promise you. They just wanted Charlie. How do you know this? How do you know anything? What are you talking about? What are you, an expert in this? You're an expert in, oh, that's right. Because he was with the Marines 3 years, not 2, 3. And he wore a cat head. He wore a cat head. Cabeza de gato. Cat head. Cabezón de gatito. Gato. Remember Gato Barbieri? Remember that great jazz? El gato. Cabeza de gato. Óyeme. Cabeza de gato. That's his Santeria name. Even they don't do that. A Santero in Miami would say, you want to do what? You put the cat head on what? Why? Well, you're the voodoo guy. It's no voodoo. It's mierda. Livia says, isn't the entry contract for the Marines 4 years? Something went wrong there for Vicky Boy. I do not know. I don't know the first name. But I just, all these, I think people want to just I think they want to go into SEAL Team 6 just so they can go into podcasting. I think that's what they want to do. I told you this story, and I'm going to say it again. I love the understated folks. I love the people who say, oh, I'm not talking about this. I told you we had this friend of the family. If you didn't hear me today, I'll tell you, I think it's great. We have a friend of the family who said, yeah, my father stormed the Normandy. I know. Normandy, yeah. D-Day, yeah. I've heard that before. And sometimes they were there. I mean, they were there, but maybe they weren't a glider, or maybe they were there. They weren't, Darby's Rangers and going up the mountain, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He was there. I wasn't, and God bless him. And God bless you. Thank you for your service. But I'd always heard this story. Well, lo and behold, I mean, and I didn't really doubt it, but I just thought, I didn't give it much thought. And they got the picture of this little guy. He's this little guy. Oh, he's 90 something and he died. But he's a little tiny guy, little tiny. Well, let me tell you something. They had a shadow box, one of these shadow boxes. They had a picture of him. They had his CIB combat infantry badge and his medals and his ID card and orders. I mean, all this stuff. I mean, it's like he was legit. He was there. This little guy. And they showed a picture of him. He must have been like 19 years old afterwards. And he had this look. You know how in the old days these men had like these weird waves, like Kid Twist Relish. Remember that? Murder Incorporated. Remember him? They have these waves. It's like, where'd you get this curly hair from? It's wild. Anyway, you should have seen him looking into this camera. It was like, wow. And I asked my friends, I said, it was 2 sisters. I said, did your father ever talk about this? He says, no. And we knew, don't ask him. No. Hey, tell us about the war. What? No. Now today, if they would have really done it, they wouldn't have been able to say a word because, and even you notice when like, it's not Sean Ryan, it's a good show, but you notice how sometimes when they get somebody who's older, like World War II, he goes, I'll tell you, it was a pretty tough goal we had there. We had a pretty tough goal. I said, you were on Iwo Jima. Yeah, it was a pretty tough goal. Pretty tough goal. You were on volcanic pumice. You were sinking. It was black. Yeah. Well, those Japanese were tough, boy. They like not sugarcoated, soft soaped. They just, Not on TV. No way. I'm going to show you. Here, put a gun to my head. Here. This guy would shit on himself if someone put a gun to your head. Let me tell you something about this. It's very interesting. Everybody who has ever handled an armed robbery prosecution, especially people at convenience stores and stuff. The first time you hear this, you think it's a joke. You would ask this woman, "And ma'am, do you have a gun?" "Oh, yeah, I had a gun." "What did it look like?" "Look like that." And I said, "No, ma'am, that's you mean no, what is it, a 45, a 38? No, it was like that." "Man, there is no such thing like that. There's a cannon, it's a howitzer, but no, it's." And because of the parallax, because of the fear, because of the adrenaline, cortisol, the sound, some people pass out. You don't know what you're going to do. The terror, some people have lost bodily functions. They've been so scared. One wrong move, it's just, sometimes you don't know. And here's this guy with a plastic gun with a little orange tip. Go ahead. Hey, it's pretty good. Well, you have no idea how I despise this. You're mocking. You're going to teach somebody how to do this. You're going to dare. Think about this. You want to teach people how to disarm. If somebody's got a gun pointed to your head, you're going to show them? That's the last thing in the world. Something goes wrong with this person, and they took your class. Well, I didn't say that. Well, yes, you did. They hear you wrong. These are these tough guys. Have you ever seen these fake martial arts things where these guys would go like this, and and the people will, they'll fall over from the death ray, the death, they're phonies. They're just jokes. And this guy is talking about all this. I don't, to each his own. To each his own. It's wonderful. It's terrific. But when all these folks talk about how they were, they're all tough. And there they were, and they're all sitting around covered in tats, and they got their murder. They just like shove it down your throat. This is what I did. And that one guy, the sheriff of Baghdad, he's just like, if you don't know this guy is just out of his mind. He talked about work, and they remember that when you say something, you forget it. I love these people. I told you, I love this guy, Don Shipley, Stolen Valor. And they always say the same thing. This guy, Don Shipley, he was a Navy SEAL. And he has a database. He was given this. He has the list of every SEAL, Buds, Frogman since 1943. So if you say, I was a Navy SEAL, you go, really? What Buds class were you in? Oh, hell, I don't remember that. Who doesn't remember the number? You say this, you got this on your head the whole time. You're screaming it 6 times. You graduate with your buddies, your Buds buddies. It's the most important number. It's like not remembering what year you graduated from high school or your anniversary. What year was it? I don't know. I think it was. It's ridiculous. And there are these people out there. And then Don Shipley will say, can you name somebody? Name one person in your class. Oh, I don't know. Can you name one person? I don't care how old you are. In your high school class, one person? Can you name one person? Can you name a teacher? Can you name your principal? People in Catholic school always remember the names of their nuns. You always remember them. These people say they were in this Navy SEALs, and they can't remember anybody. Not a classmate, a teammate, a SEAL mate, nobody. That a commanding officer? Nobody. They don't remember any of it. And Don says, come on, just name one. Just one person. Jackson? No, that would have been 1943. I don't think you do. What was your class? 1103? No, it doesn't go like that. 114? No, that was the 1939. So the point of this disquisition is we have these liars out there, these people who want the limelight, and they want to be loved and respected and feared, and they want so much for you to just love them and fear them. And oh my God, they're all over the place. What is the matter with us? These are serious, and some don't get caught. And then later on they say, you're a fraud. You never did this. And do you think somebody would have told this guy Victor, said, first of all, Victor, what? You're a dumbass. Have you ever heard yourself? Professional con men don't even remember what they're doing. You're the worst. You are the worst. You don't even remember your story. You can't do this. For the love of God, do you have any kids? Stop this. Candace is going, and Owens going. Owens is going to slice your balls off and hand them to you. And you're going to look like an idiot. It's just the weirdest thing. Now, I don't know about you, but when this thing first, I said, okay, I'll listen to Candace. She's pretty good. And then it was like, this guy's full of shit. This one's full of shit. This one's full of shit. She's full of shit. And the granddaddy is this jadrul. Unbelievable. What is the matter with us as a people? And the best part is they come across, they're always talking about their manliness. I'm a man. Really? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Talk to my friend's father who was in D-Day. Talk to real warriors. Omar Bradley. Oh my God. My absolute, read anything about George C. Marshall. George Catlin Marshall. George Catlin Marshall might have been maybe one of the greatest. I found this thing on Netflix last night. I don't know why. I was just on U.S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant. Oh my God. Oh my God. What a weird, it's a fascinating story. He was the biggest loser. I mean, he was selling firewood. He went from West Point, thrown out. He was a drunk. And he married a woman, whatever her name is, whose family, they were they owned slaves. And Ulysses S. Grant, his name is Ulysses H. It was Hiram, but for some reason everyone else. Anyway, his father wouldn't even go to his wedding. You think TDS is bad because you're marrying a guy who owns a slave? Oh, we will not abide. So his slave, he worked next to him. They said, no, they called him no. He's your slave. You got to hit him. I'm not going to hit him. I like him. No, he's your slave. You can't treat him like that. They would work side by side. He said, that's not a slave. I don't give a damn what you call it. And he paid for his freedom. And he gave it to him and said, you're free. Now go. I mean, that would be pretty good. So he was just this nothing. He was selling firewood. Anybody can sell firewood. Until he heard about this guy named Lincoln. And Lincoln wanted to change some things about, certain aspects of slavery. And he says, I'm going to give this guy a shot. No pun intended. And they didn't want to, he was a quartermaster. And they didn't want to use him. But he was great in battle. When all hell broke loose, he was amazing. He said, I'm his study. He said, come on, let's go. And he had this genius for knowing how to, they're not expecting us. Now we go in. And the West, oh my God, and then Shiloh was horrible. Anyway, there were these people. They were just, And then later on, it haunted him more. And there was Patton. Patton was rich beyond rich. Well, his wife was. And he was just a fuck up. I mean, he said the wrong thing. He acted kind of weird, very garish. He was kind of an embarrassment, a bit of a fop. He was very interesting. Until he had this crazy idea one time of saying, you know what? I think it might be a good idea for us people in our, how do I say this? You know, these, I don't know why we got to just stay with these tanks and just wait for us. Let's go after them. Let's chase them down. He goes, you can't chase them down. You're in a tank. What the hell is that? And he beat Montgomery because he wasn't supposed. Tanks don't go after people. He said, well, mine do. Curtis LeMay had Bell's palsy, had a cigar, was dive bombing bombers. He was a bastard. By the way, didn't want to drop the bomb. And was George Washington's running mate. It was incredible. It just went to Sherman. Oh, my God. William Tecumseh Sherman, who was his buddy at West Point, this guy was a psycho. He was a butcher. His thing was, if I make war so terrible, mankind won't do it again. And he meant it. Winston Churchill, by the way, believe it or not, during battles, loved it. He said, there's nothing like the sound of a bullet going near your head. These people were just weird. Very, very strange. And then there was Marshall, was another one too. So the real tough guys out there, the real tough guys didn't have to tell you anything. Omar Bradley, I think he worked for the board of directors of Bulova. George Marshall came out. George Marshall was the greatest American maybe ever. He was out with he was always planting tomatoes. He loved his tomatoes. And he was just, these people were just so, Dwight Eisenhower, badass. Don't let anybody fool you. Oh my God. He had like bad, was it flats? I know that Hitler had problems. He had a lot of gout, lower GI. He was a bit bilious, a bit gaseous, but he was phenomenal. Those guys you'll never see. You'll never see the likes of this again. And who do we have now? General Petraeus. Okay. Who had pillow talk with that? Remember that woman? What was her name? University of Denver, where she spilled the whole business about Benghazi. These people aren't men. People today, they're little boys. They're different. They're the badasses in the world. They're into the glamour and the glitz and the show and the tattoos. Oh, the more tattoos you got, the badder you are, right? Right? Everybody's got to be covered in tattoos. You're not a warrior if you're not. And you got to constantly show people. See? And you know who the real badasses were? People you'll never know. And there's nothing worse than also somebody comes along and they use the power of salvation and God, and they talk about it. They're just lying sacks o' shite, the whole bunch of them. I mean it. I have such disrespect. There's nobody. Some of the greatest, by the way, some of the greatest presidents. You look up Calvin Coolidge. This guy, I think he had the only. I think it's the last time we had a surplus. A surplus, maybe. It's hard to say who was great in that time, but the people who were really just my version of this, my version of what real heroism is, not these little boys. But here's the best part. Somebody's got to say, listen, do yourself a favor. You might be great disarming people of plastic guns. That might be your thing. You might be great with your stories about cat heads or whatever it is. But you're going to go on Candace Owens. She's going to cut your balls off. And she may not look like much to you. I mean, you can probably take her in a fight, but I don't even know about that. But she's going to cut your balls off. You're going to end up looking so stupid. And there's one thing about this. It's going to be on the internet forever. What are you doing? Don't do this. You're not smart. Your stories are stupid. Everything about you is stupid. I don't even know what your story is. You just, Erica Kirk, when I was going to say, see, I'm not the worst. I stand corrected, young lady. I stand corrected. Is Victor. He is the worst. And he has this laughing, and he thinks he gets, he thought, and if you watch today, the intro, every stupid thing this man has ever said, every errant phrase, every moment of indiscretion, every psychotic episode, she had it labeled, marked, ready to go. It was glorious. Absolutely glorious. Beyond anything I've ever seen, it was fantastic. It was, I'm telling you, I almost didn't watch it. I thought, who is this guy? Oh my. Well, look where we live. Look at Kash Patel. Look at Kash Patel. Nobody's ever come to us and said, come here. You're the president, you're the head of the FBI. You act like some little schoolboy who's never gotten laid, which maybe you haven't. Stop it. Stop it. Take that raid jacket off. Act like J. Edgar Hoover. This is, Webster, all these guys, even L. Patrick Gray was like blood and guts compared to you. You look like a little boy. You look like you got your finger stuck in a light socket all the time. You're just weird. Why are you putting yourselves in these positions? Does anybody ever talk to you about this? Does ever anybody say to you, what's going on? And Bobby Kennedy, would you stop talking about remember taking the penis off of the raccoon and he's grabbing a rattlesnake? What is with these people? You're Bobby Kennedy. You're an ex-heroin addict. You're acting like a fool. And he wrote down, remember this, he wrote down in a book all the women he's bedded. Oh, that's important. What do you read these at night? It's like a Michelin guide. I give her a 3. What? Rating them? And Hegseth, if you can't see through Pete Hegseth, he is so unctuous. He is such a lickspittle and a toady and a sycophantic, this obsequious fawning, this bootlick for Trump. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I never saw Anthony Blinken act like this, or anybody else for that matter. Say, but what about General Milley and that other guy too, the black feller with the prostate cancer? Yeah, they may have had a bunch of tarts and little what used to call them? Not Marys, we call them. Anyway, these trans, that was demented, but these were not. They looked like soldiers. They acted like soldiers, and they weren't screaming and yelling. They kind of looked the part. See, we're trying to betray us. Even McChrystal, these guys were. And then there's little boy Hegseth. I'm going to do pull-ups now. I'm going to do pull-ups. See, I can do pull-ups. That's great, Pete. Rumsfeld was a wrestler at Princeton. He's nobody to fool around with. Was it a standing desk the whole time? I got to tell you something. We are in desperate need of maturity. We are in desperate need of leadership. And we're in desperate need of somebody maybe perhaps recalibrating, reformulating, redefining what it means to be a man. And if you're going to represent your country, that's terrific. But don't wear it on your sleeve with your tattoos. quit bragging. Quit being so braggadocious. Have some respect. It's embarrassing. Let me tell you something. You know who the baddest army right now? Might be Turkey, but the Russians and the Ukrainians have been at each other. They are, you can't get that kind of an attitude. You can't get that. When you actually get into war and the real centurion, these are scary people. And you train them and you hope to God you could ever reassimilate them back into society. So anyway, I just wanted you to, this Charlie Kirk thing is so bizarre. And I love it. Now tomorrow, Hunter Biden, who was it? Max Blumenthal said, Hunter Biden makes, I forgot somebody looked like Ralph Nader. I mean, Hunter Biden sits down with Candace. Now, by the way, don't feel bad about the Massey thing, Thomas Massey. What was that about? Was that merely about money? A large part. Don't give up on that. If that means anything to you, don't give up on that. Learn politics, learn how this thing works. In any event, my friend, I think that about does it. What do you say? We had a rain coming tonight. When the rain comes off of Jersey, comes to the city, it looks like a velvet, almost like a curtain, like at a theater or something. It is just the darkest, most frightening veil of this. It's just wild. I love the rain. Loved it since I was in Florida. We had lightning because it's tropical. And I mean, the house would shake. It was beautiful. The crack of I've heard it so close. I love it. Sometimes I still, when I always sleep with something, either a book or lectures or rain. Just the sound of different rain, not thunder, rain. And I don't know what it is. Return to the womb, some type of primordial reference. I don't know what it is, but you've got to see this. Me Queen says, after Candace interviewed with Mark, forget about Erica ever facing her. Oh, yeah. Yes. You mean Max? I mean, Marx? Yes. Well, no. I guarantee you, I could tell. There would be a way. And by the way, thank you. If she did, if I had to coach Erica, I would say, here's your only hope. You want to make Candace look like a bully. You want her to be like, you're kicking this stupid goofball around like, yeah, tough. If all of a sudden, I'm not saying it'd be effective, but if she could somehow pull off, this is Erica, if she could say something like, I've never been a speaker, I admit. I'm not as good as you are, Candace. You're much better. You're just a natural. I've never, you know what? I never asked for any of this. And if you think my ambition was to come along, marry some man, have 2 children, and then have him slaughtered in front of me and my family, you're very wrong. Do you know what that's like? Do you know what that's like to? I mean, if she could do this, you would make her say, "Hey, come on, Candace, come on." But she can't. She can't do it. She can't. She'll make up stuff. She'll talk about stuff. And that's why James St. John, stop it. She's just smart enough. But if you really want to do it, if you really were smart and you had a strategy and you stuck to it, absolutely. You've got to know that in the case of Candace, if Candace has got you, admit it. Admit it. Don't fight it. Say, you're right about that. You're right about that. And once you admit it, it's like, now it's over. It's like, well, Candace, as I told you before, you're right about that. You are absolutely right. What good is it now? What good is it? He just admitted it. Okay, let's go to the next point. I didn't think he admitted. I was ready for him to fight it. No. This is the thing to do. When you are fighting, if you're you're arguing with somebody and you really want to understand, neutralize them. Neutralize them. You may not win the argument, but you will reduce them to nothing. Or they walk away saying, what happened just now? I don't know. She just tore you apart. And he admitted it. He goes, you're right about that. I'm nothing special. Candace, I'm a sinner. I'm just a regular person. I'm just like anybody. And she won't do that. She won't do this. And then Candace, of course, would then turn around and say, but you got to understand something. You're in a leadership role, Erica, and it's not, even though it's admirable, you just can't say, oh, well, I made a mistake. It's like when a doctor amputates the wrong leg. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. Sometimes that doesn't work. So this is it. But you put your money on Candace. Trust me. Put your money on her. She is so well prepared. Oh my God. There is nothing like it. It's an inspiration. New lawyers should watch this. I'm dead serious. Dead serious. In any event, my friends, God bless you. Please follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. You are so nice and so kind. And she is just, you have no idea. I don't want to speak for her, but I'll let her tell you. Me Queen says, but which one of her team can be like you, Lionel, and give this type of advice? They're a bunch of pathetic lunatics. Candace tore that guy into pieces. Oh, yes. I don't think Candace needs my advice. I don't think Now, what I would have done, just for the record, what I would have done while we're on the subject, there's nothing worse. It was a technique. My father used to do this. He was a lawyer by profession, and he, love your show, by the way. Thank you. You are so kind. Thank you for that. One of the things that, like I said, he did, which was so unbelievably, I hated it because I didn't know what to say. It's like, why are you asking me this? But he'd say something like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Must have had a good reason. I don't know why I said that. No, why'd you do it? I mean, nobody made you do that. I'm sure you wanted to accomplish something. What did you want to accomplish? Why'd you say that? And there's nothing worse than taking somebody and saying, Victor, you were 3 years old. Yeah. And they told you to wear a cat head. You sure about that? You're sticking in this story. And did they and also break it? And did you remove the head, or did somebody move it for you? Was it already dead? Was the cat dead? I would hope. I mean, and how long did you wear this? And who was there at the time? And when this was done, what did the person who made you do it, what did this person ask you to do? To just get up and leave? Or was it now you've learned your lesson, or what? Tell me about it. People remember the most incredible of circumstances. Whenever they tell a story, especially of trauma, they remember a lot. Time of day, clock ticking in the background, rain outside, a dog barking, the smell of, that's why there's so many triggers. That's why people who are victims, they have to always be mindful of that. There can be something that can be, you should never be put into rooms. Don't let them, for example, adults or men, sometimes putting them in a room bothers them. Also, he said 45,000 women. I'm so sick of these people. Again, these warriors who come out, who repel from Chinooks and rescue kids in foreign countries with no record of it whatsoever. That's pretty convenient, don't you think? Where was this again? In Thailand, in the Philippines? Where did this happen? Well, it's classified. Classified, huh? Where are these kids now? Oh, I don't really know. You don't know where they are? How do you know you didn't, capture them and put them someplace in where they were reabsorbed into the point of all this, dear friend? The point of this, the basis of this is that we can tell bullshit better than anyone else. And what confounds me the most is when somebody actually does this and doesn't realize they're killing themselves. Enough said, my friends. You have a great and a glorious, listen to some good music tonight. Get out your Spotify, put on something, build your library. Make sure you devote a significant period of time listening to music. Music you grew up with, music you played when you were happy, music that was the soundtrack of your life. I mean it. Music is my emollient. That is my hair of the dog. That's my one for the road, so to speak. In any event, we love you, folks. Have a great and glorious day. Tomorrow, big day. Big day. Hunter Biden. Oh, my God. You're going to be amazed by that. Watch what happens. All right, until then, my friends, thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious night. Again, follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, I beg and beseech and entreat and implore you to always comment as you see fit. And now we leave with this valedictory, this sayonara. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dad.